Welcome back to Tech Nugget channel. Wishing you all a very happy New Year 2022. In today's video, I will cover another interesting basic blocks on Java. That's the Java language basic constructs. Why it's interesting? One of your baby step on every programming language is basic constructs. I am not going to cover all the details of the language constructs. However, I will cover the essentials to get Jumpstart Java. The basic construct includes various loops, array, string, and exception handling. Let's dive into coding. In order to learn the constructs, let us reuse the part 1 coding. That's a parent employee class and two child class called contract employee, and the one is a permanent employee. Okay, this is the main of that. And let me quickly show you the classes. So this was covering the basic encapsulation and as well abstraction and the inheritance. Okay, so this is a parent class. We have main in the parent, and we have a child class, that's a contract employee, which extends EMP. The abstract method was compute salary. That one has been implemented in contract employee, and the same way we have implemented in permanent employee. Okay, so the first construct which we are going to see, let's go back to main, is a conditional statement. So if else, so imagine we wanted to check the scenario of a salary. For example, in this case, I will take Smith salary. Okay, let's code conditional, right? If we have created object called Smith, actually the type of permanent employee, Smith dot compute salary greater than 600. So this is a hypothetical situation where we wanted to say that if the salary is less, just you want to say work order to get, because just to get the idea, right? So say that the first condition will be less than 600 and work harder to get more. It will be more uh, relevant if it is a contract employee. So instead of Smith, let me take Joe, whose type of contract. So go here, because permanent employee get a fixed salary, right? So the contract employee, if they put more hours, they get more salary. Okay, if is a one condition, then we have if condition, then what we need to execute, then else. Say you want to say maintain the hard work. Okay, maintain the hard work. Let's see, this first statement is conditional. Let's run this. So it compiled. The output what you are saying is work harder to get more. Okay, so in order to increase this salary, what exactly we have to do is we have to put we have to increase hourly rate and number of hours. If you put, you'll say maintain the hard work. This is about if. The next case is a switch. For example, in the same way, is one condition, so I can say else if. I can construct one more, else if Joe dot compute salary greater than 250, and say you are close to the goal, and finally make just else. If it is none of the condition matches, it goes to else, right? So it's a maintain the work. Okay, let's run this again. Work harder to get more. Why? Because in your first condition less than 600, that matches with this, and 250 is part of less than 600. That's how it's executing only in this one. However, you can nest else if when you are nesting it, make this one as a first one so that it executes first, then it reaches here. Or you can have a range condition with this. Okay, this is about if. Next conditional statement is a switch statement. So when do we use this? Because when you have multiple choices. See, when you have limited conditions to check, then we'll use if else. When you have fixed multiple choices, then we go ahead with switch case. Let's go ahead and code it. Okay, so let's print this switch case, so that when it prints, it should be okay. So in this case, what we will take is we'll take a scenario of checking, analyzing age of the employees with the fixed ages. For example, you say 25, 35, 55. Okay, I want to say it, if it is fixed of 25, say young, and if it is 35, middle age, if it is 55, elderly. Okay, let's go ahead and say as of now the employee objects doesn't have age. Or let's create a new object, new variable, int age. Let's initialize with 25. We feel young. Let's do this. So what is the syntax for it? Switch, then variable, open curly brace, then case, right? For example, in this case, you will give a fixed value 25, then you want to print young age, and you need to have a break, and the next case will be 35, then say middle age, say break, because every statement we need to break this. And this is the basic Java language code. However, the modern one, that's a Java 17, have a much modernized version that will be covered in the next video. Okay, let's code one more case 55. Put and say elderly age, break. And finally, you should have a default case. If it is not matching with any of this, it should execute one of the default case. Uncategorized. See, categorized. Categorized. It's fine. Some say break. Okay. Let's close this extra spaces. Let's execute this, and now we have age of 25, and it should print young. Okay, engage. This is the one. This is about switch case. The next construct will be loops. Let us see that. So, for example, this case, employee, yeah, there's a do, while, and for loop, three things. So the difference between do while will execute regardless of the condition once, and while will execute based on the condition, and for loop is combined together. Let me put one use case for that. So imagine we wanted to encourage an employee work harder, regardless of encouragement. He should work hard first time, right? So let's say it is loops. Okay, let me see. In order to do that, we need to have a variable. Let's say int encourage. Okay, encourage one. Say do. What I want to say is he will work hard. Work harder while I less than one. Not I. Sorry, encourage. Right. Encourage less than one. Okay. Let's execute this. Before that, let's put one marker here. Uh, loops, and this will be, let's go ahead and run this. Because there is no condition statement here, work order, it came at least once, right? Now let's go ahead with the while statement. Okay, so say while loop, we would like to say, we wanted to encourage this for 3 times. Okay, while I'll encourage less than 4, less than 3, and say short with put more effort. Okay, more effort. And since this has fixed number, we need to increment that number. That will be encourage plus plus, that is your unary operator plus plus. Let's execute this quickly and see. Okay, so while loop, put more effort. Why twice? Because less than 3, it's not less than or equal to 3. So one thing which you have to say is this condition can be anything, it can be less than, greater than, as long as its condition meets. And one thing you have to be very careful, when the variable is not incremented or decrement properly, you will get into infinite loop. Let's see the final one, for loop. Say hey, I want to say int appreciate equal to 0, appreciate less than 3, and appreciate plus plus. So this is about the for loop. For example, you are going to declare variable, you are going to increment, you are doing the condition, all three are going to put together. Now short, nice work. Okay, let's execute this. You should see nice work this one because it starts with 0 and less than 3. Okay, so this is about the loop. Next construct we will see arrays. Okay, so in this scenario, in order to demonstrate arrays, let's take a scenario we wanted to create 3 contract employees programmatically. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Arrays. Okay, so first thing, in order to do that, we need to have name, rates, and hours, right? So let's say string names equal to, I can initialize directly, say Pete, Amanda, and John, right? Say end with semicolon. So the placement of this brace can be here and here. So next we wanted to create a contract employee array. Okay, let's see that one. That is first let's complete the other attributes, right? So double rates, say we would like to say 10.2, 20.2, 20.4, 30.6. It's just random, it's nothing to 30.6 curly brace, and the third attribute will be int hours, number of hours, right? So I would like to say 10, 20, 30. Simply put 20, 30. Let's close this. Now let's use for loop. For int I equal to 0. Why we have 0? Because in Java all the arrays are 0 based index. Okay. Let's go ahead and say, before we go there, let's say we want to create contract employee. So I will show this syntax also. CMPs new contract employee of 3. This is a fixed size. Okay, now let's go ahead. Int I equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. Why it's giving error? Because should be a semicolon. This put something else. Now let's say contract emp cmp equal to new contract emp, we'll say names, that is names of I. So what we are going to do is we are going to assign each value exactly like this. For example, p to 10, 10, I mean 20, 20 this way, right? So we'll say hi, the subscript will be I, and the next attribute will be rates of I and hours of I. And that's it. So let's print this. The ideally you should see 3 hour when we are looking at. Also I would like to assign these employees to contract employee arrays, that CMPs, right? So what that is, assign to array, assign to an array, what happens CMPs of I equal to CMP. So the next code we will access this outside and will perform some of the operation. Okay, so let us see. And here um, contract emp array, we should see the value. So in order to do the contract employee array, one way is I can iterate through subscript like with I, or let's use another enhanced for loop. For example, I'll say for contract emp cmp colon cmps. So this is the new feature, however just I'm introducing only on this context. Note, let's say cmp. Let's run this code. While this is running, yeah, it's done. Let's see. You can see there is a Pete, Amanda, John, and also employee array will be three values. This right. This array is a single dimensional. Java supports multi-dimensional array, so just you have to add those correspondingly and assign the value, and you can initialize later, for example like this also, and this way everything is possible, right? One thing is the size is fixed in array. For example, you are going to fix the size. In this case I am fixing with 3. Here based on the elements it takes what is the size. Okay, once we assign the size, we can't extend this array because it's fixed size, right? So let's do one thing. So now we have taken it. So there is another interesting feature which array has is something called clone. For example, I wanted to clone this 3 employees into another 3 employees, and those employees will be independent. I can change. So how do we do that? Say contract employee, say cloned cmp is equal to cmps dot clone. Done. Why it's an error? Because this is going to return an array and I am having regular object. That is why. Let's do this. We'll put this here. I'll put one here with the short cloned employees, and here what we do, we have to use this rather than. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. You should see one more print here. Okay, you got cloned employees with this. So one, as I said, the cloned employees can act independently. So imagine I wanted to change hourly rate for who was the last person, John, right? Say I want to say cloned piece of 2. Since I say it's a zero based index, that's the last one. And say I want to say set hourly rate, I want to make it 25. Okay, so you just make sure set number of hours. Yeah, this is hourly rate is 30, and I'm going to run this one last time to show that. So what I'm saying is you can take those objects, you can use it independently after you clone it. Okay, So you can see this hourly rate is 25, but John, the original rate was 30. Okay, so one interesting thing on string here is, for example, these are all string constants. Let's say string in next section, right? In this construct, we'll see the strings, right? Sorry. So in Java, the strings are immutable string by default. When you add a string, that's one of the performance degrade of this string, right? When you add, it's immutable. When you append the next character to the same string, actually it is creating a new string. So that's how it is. It uses something called string pool whenever we have a string literal. For example, say a string s1, I'll say test1. Okay, let's say this is string demo. String demo. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll use the string demo test1 and string s2. So the way I am assigning here is using string literals, say test1. So in this case, in JVM, there will be a one value in the constant pool called test1. So how do we check? Even though you have two variables, both will be pointing to same constant pool. Let me show you that. So if s1 equal to s2, object level comparison I'm doing. Okay, say short s1 equal to s2, else s1 not equal to s2. s2. Okay, let's run this. I'm just keeping the old code so that you have the context. And if you all wanted this code to be in GitHub, I can add it. Okay, now you see it says both are equal. The objects, even though there are two objects, it says equal because it's pointing to the same memory address. For example, let's take this case. When you say new string of this, okay. So in this case, when I use the word new, it is going to allocate a new memory, and this object will be different objects. Let's see that code. This now it's yes, double equals, right? Now it should say not equal to. So in Java, double equal means it's a comparison, equal to is a assignment operator, and this one is not equal to. Okay, see, this is not equal to because it's pointing to two different object, even though there is a value of same. However, the memory address is different. So this is about string. Last construct on this video is exception handling. In Java, all of the object root is object, and for exception, root class will be your throwable. Then from throwable, we have something called exception, then error. So within exception, we have checked exception and unchecked exception. The checked exception is used during compile time. It will give an compilation error. Unchecked will be something like a null pointer exception that cannot be detected during runtime. And the other side is a error which is relevant to JVM, for example, out of memory error. Okay, so let me go ahead and demonstrate that. Exception handling. First, let me show you the standard exception handling. Later, I'll show you the custom exception handling. How do we do? So in this case, let's do the standard one first. right? Say string s3 equal to null. So means I am assigning null value. So I will try to say s3 dot, say I want to say length, right? So I'm not checking anything. Let's execute this. This is actually a unchecked exception because it cannot be catched during compile time. It's only you'll come to know during runtime, and one of the very popular exception which you find in Java is a null pointer. It's a classic, and everyone makes this, and everyone have to tumble on this. Okay, so first it gives an error, cannot invoke string.length because s3 is null. It's more beautified version of exception message. The earlier version of Java didn't have this clear detail. Okay, this is Java 17 feature which shows this. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the custom exception handling. So let's comment this. So in this case, for custom exception handling, in this context of employee, say let's build employee search logic. Okay, so in this case, ideally we'll check for employee ID. We don't have it. Let's check with employee name. If employee name is not found, ideally it's employee not found. So we wanted to bring up a custom exception called emp not found. Okay, so how do we do that? So as I mentioned, we have to extend throwable class. Go ahead and say class emp not found exception extends throwable, and one constructor we have to, one method which you have to override will be public emp not found exception with string message and call the super. Okay, super message. That's it. So this is your custom exception class. Okay, let's go ahead and check this. So we have an array here, array of employees. For example, here Pete, Amanda, John, right? I wanted to look for name Peter. So if it is not found, I want to throw employee not found exception. So what will happen is, say imagine it's like a directory search. Okay, let's go ahead and say it's cloned employee. Okay, let's do this. Let's use enhanced for loop. Okay, so what we wanted to use, if cmp dot get full name dot equals ignore case, say I would like to say Peter. When I say ignore case, I am checking the content regardless of the case. Okay, if not found, I'll say mp not found, and also I'll throw an exception. How do I throw new emp not found exception, select emp not found So the employee name was Peter. So it's Peter, right? Let's do this. Semicolon. Why it's throwing an error? Because it requires try catch. Because when you see throw, ideally what will happen is it's supposed to be written in a different method and you will be calling on the other side. When you do that, it has to be surrounded with try catch. For example, if you look at this, this one, it says surround with try catch. Okay, let's go ahead and execute this. It is exited, however it is not throw an error. The reason is we put throw here. The try catch supposed to be here. So this I made it deliberate so that you will know why. How do we do this? Okay, try catch. What do you have to say? EMP not found exception. EN. Okay. So shut EN dot get message. Let's try this again. So I did a little restructure of this code. Uh, why it was not working mainly was the condition, because it was initially I was checking equal to, it's supposed to be not equal to, then you will see that employee not found error. Okay, so that's all about this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Please put your comments, and your feedback helps to improve the content of this channel. Thank you.